Okay, so welcome back to probably, maybe you should have even left him rolling a little bit because we had some interesting conversations in that. Just like, I think one of the things you said was, I want to change the world, but I want it to happen now. Like, I want to make the difference now.
Right,
so,
like I want it to stop today. Like, to be on a live. And there's no telling how many people did not feel comfortable saying something.
Sure.
So these are just the people who spoke up. I don't know.
Well, okay, so we noticed one of the things was that so many people, their stories mirror ours.
Right.
There's that reflections word again.
Right.
And one of the things that as I was thinking about all this, you know, kind of the whole hurt people.
Right.
You know, how many people have I hurt
That's what I was just thinking.
As a result of my own pain, you know, not intentionally. I really truly believe that even the people that hurt us, I mean,
Jesus.
Right. Uh-oh. Do you need a tissue?
I do.
In there, I think. There's at least, you know, McDonald's napkin from my old, what was the little things that they had, that I kept eating?
They're the not nuggets.
The barbecue
tenders.
Oh, those things were so good. But anyway, so I think
it's like we wonder why the state of the world, like the world is like this, and it's because like everybody's hurting, everybody's in pain, and nobody trusts each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, as a result of these issues that we talked about during the episode of The Drive. Sorry, we didn't explain anything.
We didn't. We just
we just did an episode of The Drive, and it went over a little bit, so we wanted to shut that down and then come back here. So if you have no clue what we're talking about, you're gonna have to go back and watch the last video that we posted about mental health and things like that. And we just kind of wanted to keep it rolling because there were still conversations that were happening. But like you said, it's the whole hurt people thing, and this makes me realize why that's such an issue for me, because I understand the reality of it. But I'm like, if we are all hurting, if we are all in pain, then we all have the capacity to see beyond that pain. We just have to do the work to figure out, and this is not a judgment against anybody. It's just an acknowledgement of something that has to happen. Mm-hmm. Then we all have to figure out what that work looks like so that we can show up better in this world and be better, so that the world can then ultimately be a better place. I'm like, it's like everybody's at a standoff. Like, you be good to me and then I'll be good to you. Oh, no. You be good to me and then I'll be good to you.
Right, mm-hmm. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like somebody has to give and just be good. Which makes it hard for us people who do that naturally, because of the other hurt people who are not ready to heal. We kind of give ourselves to them as
well. And do we do it naturally? I mean, I know I have a lot of, I mean, I've got things that are conditional. I definitely feel like I've got, you know.
Well, I know that they're conditional. Well, I don't know. I can't speak for you, but like for me, I have to think about what my conditions are, because naturally it's just like, hey, do you need anything? Can I help you? Can I do anything for you? Do you know what I'm saying? So right. I have to be very conscious about setting boundaries and looking at the relationship and deciding, okay, what should the boundaries be here? Because otherwise, I'll just...
Yeah.
And then pull my hand back and be like, ouch, oops.
Yeah.
Guess I maybe shouldn't have done that. But it's not their fault. It's my fault because I haven't set the proper boundaries. So it kind of goes all back to how everything is tied in. So just being careful and mindful of that is tough in and of itself. Mm-hmm. What are you thinking?
I'm just thinking about how we started out the very first episode saying we're all screwed up.
Yes.
I mean, we really are, and we're trying to figure out how to navigate it. And I think thank God we're at a time in history where we have a lot of resources, where people are talking about brain health, brain science, mental health, emotional health, wellness, all those types of things. You know, we're on the very beginning of it, but thank God. But it also, going back to when we talked about, you know, why we're the way we are right now, mm-hmm. It's because of generations of of potential abuse.
Yes.
Generations of sweeping that abuse under the rug.
Ooh, that right there. Like you said.
And not addressing it because, again, you know, I've had awesome conversations with my mom and, you know, some of that stuff's coming up. I just cannot believe how heavy I feel. You said you felt like you've been carrying a box the whole time.
I feel like I've been
Physically,
just standing like this.
I did not expect this. Oh, no, that's the old one. I don't know where. We got to find yours.
It say January.
Oh, I took
it's
it down
yours.
from here, yeah. Sorry, we have parking passes.
Yours.
We have parking passes, but, so, yeah, I don't know where I was with that, but just
what do you think about what? I think we're doing everything. Like, we can't, like, wave a magic wand and be like, the world is fixed. Yay.
Right.
But, like, what do you think about our contribution to the cause? No.
I mean, again, watching that, the Lady Gaga Oprah thing, I think it was, you know, she talked about how she wants to put like the smartest people in the room together, and, you know, get the people that can solve these mental health issues. She wants to put them together. And, you know, I'm like, okay, we don't necessarily have the resources to do that. So what can we do? You know, we can share this message. We can share our story. So I do believe that, you know, we have this part of our mission statement is changing the world one mind at a time.
Yes.
And I think that's what we're doing with our part. I 100% believe that God gave me the gift of steer to share with other people. I believe that with every ounce of my being. So that's what we can do, is share how we've used this type of stuff to help ourselves become more emotionally healthy. Are we, you know, I still think it's a journey. I don't think you just arrive one day and you're like, yay, I'm here and I stay here.
Right.
You know, it's a journey.
It definitely makes me want to figure out how in the community I can be more of an advocate for the sexually abused.
Okay.
To figure out exactly, I don't know, I have no clue what that looks like. And this is me talking in the moment. I don't know if it's actually going to happen because this is heavy stuff.
Yeah.
But it definitely makes me want to get very specific, just as with other areas, like you being a recovering HR manager and you making sure that we can impact the workplace. Me having been a pregnant Black mom and wanting to make sure I help infant mortality and maternal mortality in Black women, this being an added component of how can I help the sexually abused in the same way that we're helping the other demographics, that we're helping. What does a targeted I guess that's Reflections. What does a targeted program for that look like? And I think it's Reflections now that I'm talking as I'm going.
And I don't know that, you know, somebody has to have gone through that same trauma, but again, we're all screwed up. Something has happened somewhere in our lives, because I think we're still kind of figuring this whole parenting thing out.
And I see new people joining. We're sitting here. You see that it says The Drive Parked, and it's because our last episode of The Drive, we just shut down about 10 minutes ago. It kind of was going over, and there were still conversations that were going on and were still being had. So we kind of just wanted to shut that live down and come back on under this one and just continue the conversation for a little bit.
It got heavy. It got deep. So if anybody wanted to talk about, you know, we did start out the show saying that there may be some triggers. So that's something that, you know, we wanted to check back in with people to make sure they're doing okay. And for us, it was like I had to park. I could, like, I'm just amazed at how physically I feel.
Right. Like heavy. That's the only word I don't know. But like my neck is all. But so now it's I think that's why, now that I'm speaking about this, I think that's why I've been afraid. I've always, like I said in the episode of The Drive, I've been very clinical in how I explained my past trauma and what I went through in the past. It was very easy to separate myself from it, but in maybe a not so healthy way, because like you said, Gaga said she put it in a box and she put it over there. I didn't. I put it in a box and I sat it in my lap, or I carried it around, or I put it on my neck. I was always holding this box and it's been going with me everywhere. This show has helped me realize, okay, so now work this through. And I'm sure it'll be a lot easier now than it would have been then. So I'm not even disputing having done that. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was my method of, you know what I mean? Of I guess, acceptance in a way. And now being like, okay, so let me think through this and let me work through this. And now how can I help other people work through this? So that's where we always go every single time. We always go, how can we help other people?
Right.
But now I've found a desire to find out how I can help others in this same situation. I never remember thingy.
Put on my face. Oh,
my kids always go, I need your face, Mom.
Yeah, so again, we just want to check in with you guys to make sure you're doing okay with this, because this was, a lot of people are dealing with a lot of the same things. And yeah.
Shelly said emotions are deep and draining. Yes, they are. Lisa said, XOXO, you both are giving strength to all of us. Thank you. You guys are giving strength to us. This is really cool.
Yeah.
What else are you thinking?
I don't know. I'm thinking I want to go take a nap, but I'm going to paint my son's room, and that'll be, how am I going to do that with heavy arms? But
right.
I don't know.
Shelly said we compartmentalize our trauma. Right.
That's a really good point, Shelly. That's a really good point. And that's what it is. And I think when Gaga said, I'm going to put it in a box and she meant my shame.
Yes.
So that I can talk about it.
Right,
like, I am not, and that's one of the things that I decided with all this. I am not going to be ashamed of the fact that I was sexually abused at 5. I'm not going to be ashamed of that. I'm not going to be ashamed of the fact that I have ADHD and I'm dealing with it. I'm not going to be ashamed of the fact that I've had suicidal ideations throughout my life. I'm not going to be ashamed that I'm constantly a work in progress.
Right.
And I hope that by me not being ashamed of it, it will somehow, help other people not feel ashamed of it.
I think for me, it's identifying the source of the shame, because from the very offset, it was very finger pointing. You did this. And I would go, how do you point your finger at a 7-year-old and be like, you did this? How do you point your finger at an 11-year-old
like
and
a
go,
victim shaming? You're
oh,
talking
for
about.
sure.
Okay.
For sure. And it was like, why did you let that happen? And I'm like, and that became my dialogue. Why did I let that happen? Why did I let that happen? And then understanding how it affected, you know what I'm saying, my life every time thereafter, when people go, you had your first kid when you were 15, you got pregnant at 14. And I'm like, yeah, I did get pregnant. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so many people go, I'm still trying to say this in a way that doesn't come off as judgmental to my parents. Again, I'm not judging them. I do understand that they did the best they could, but nobody ever asked me why I got pregnant. How did this happen? How did this happen?
Okay.
Nobody ever asked me that question. So for a long time, nobody knew what happened to me because I didn't share it. There was actually a family member who witnessed it, went back and made it seem like it was a voluntary. And even if that were true, if I heard that my 11-year-old daughter was voluntarily doing something, I would go, what were you, what happened? What made you think that was okay? What happened? But it wasn't that. It was, I can't believe you did this. Why did you do that? So I kind of just closed it in. I never talked about it. And I was like, I'm not going to talk about it. It created that pattern of behavior for me. So then when I got pregnant at 14, it was like, see, I knew it. I knew it when you were 11 years old. I knew that this, and I'm like, nobody ever asked me why.
Right.
And I'm like, so that was where my shame came from. It was like, and for that to be the course over my whole entire life. And like you said, after a while, it became my mission in life to prove to people that didn't define me. I'm not a statistic. This didn't make me who I am. And even the success that I've experienced in my life has been as a result of the shame that I felt. So for me, I have an issue releasing the shame because it's worked for me thus far.
Ooh, that's interesting.
But I know that shame is
a motivator.
Right.
That's
so
really
it's like that shame has made me go, oh, well, you know what? That's not going to be me. That's not going to be me. That's not going to be me. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. So it's been my driving factor. It's been what's driven me all of this time, because when people hear that you had your first kid at 15, they're like, there's immediate judgment. Didn't help that Tupac came out with the Brenda's Got a Baby song about a girl who had a baby at 15.
Are you serious?
Yes, and everybody's like, oh, you mean Brenda's got a baby? And I'm like, ugh, I still hear that like joke to this day. It's like, you mean like Brenda got a baby? But yeah, so there was that. So I have to figure out how to release the shame and own
the motivation it created.
Yeah, right.
That's really interesting.
So it's like, that's going to have to be a separation for me that I have to figure out.
So my shame comes around, like, we just don't talk about it. When you mentioned the family of 4, the girl and the boy, the blonde hair, blue eyes, the perfect, like, that's what you present to the world. You don't present this stuff.
Right.
And I let me just say, I did have, I feel like I have to add this caveat. I did have a great upbringing. I had a great childhood. I had all of those things.
But like you said, that's true. And this is true,
and this
too.
is true,
right?
too.
So I think it's okay to add the caveat, as long as you don't add it as a but. Like, I mean, this stuff did happen, but I had a really good upbringing, and I had a, you know what I'm saying? That you're saying and.
Yes. Right. And I do try to say and more than I say but, because I think you're dismissing the rest of it. But I think that, and I just said but I think that, that's part of it, generations of, you don't talk about what's going on with mental health. And here's the thing that I know, now I'm probably going to cry. When I did not address my ADHD, it manifested in me not showing up well for my son, for my husband at the time, and I didn't know I had it.
Right.
For my job, for the world. It manifested.
We're doing a show here. Stop talking.
It manifested in a way for me to, for me not being the best version of myself. And I hear so many people, and I hear so many people say that they don't want the different diagnosis, or they're afraid of the different diagnosis, or, I don't have it, or my kid doesn't have it, or whatever. If you don't own it, you can't do anything about it.
Dr. Phil. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. She says that all the time.
Yes.
I thought about, because she mentioned Dr. Phil in the last episode. And you can't change what you don't acknowledge.
And listen, there are times that I absolutely hate that I have ADHD. It drives me, you know how much it bothers me at times.
Yeah.
I'm time blind. I have a really hard time. So I have to do all kinds of different things so that I know what time it is.
Right.
And it's annoying to people sometimes. My alarms, my notifications, my, all of these different things. I know that it is. And I wish at least that part of it would go away, or different parts of it would go away. I was late to a very important thing this week. And it honestly had to
be
do
looking around like
lunch thing. So I was late to that, and it made the person feel unimportant.
Right. And
I'm like, that was never my intent. That I know that my disorder unintentionally hurts other people, and I don't do that on purpose, and it's hard.
And I think that what's hard also, and this is not a jab against that person, because I can people are allowed to feel how they feel, but I think it's also important for us to surround ourselves with people who understand that. I think we talk about that all the time when we talk about why we work so well together. And you're like, I don't understand how you tolerate this with me. And it's like, I don't understand how you can tolerate me being a complete and total bitch for no apparent reason and not knowing why. Like, we have these things, and it's like, I don't even know what's wrong with me today. And you know what I mean?
Right.
We find ways to work our ways through it. We never judge each other for it. And I think it's important, because I don't think that we should shut out people who, of course we should shut out anybody who blatantly disregards our feelings. But I don't think we should always shut out people who just don't necessarily understand or need to develop more of an understanding. But I think it's important that we make sure that we have people who do understand wholeheartedly and completely, and have that support system in our lives, so that we have that kind of safe place. We have that safe place to go. And it's like, I know if nobody else get it, Kat gets it. I'm gonna call Kat. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And that helps. It helps so much. And knowing that I don't have to explain the origin of whatever it is, and I don't have to go back to the beginning, and I can just go, you know what? Today just ain't the day. And you're like, it's okay for it to not be the day. And like you said, having that shame and being upset, like, I can't count how many times I'm like, God, please just make me normal people. I just want to be normal people. I don't want to deal with this.
I think this is normal. I really
agree,
do.
but you don't feel like that, like, in the moment.
Right.
And I'm like, I just want to be normal. Jesus, please, can you just make me like normal people? And just not, and experiencing that in the moment is sometimes just so defeating and so detrimental. But then later on to be able to go, oh, that's why that happened, because guess what, this time I'm not going to do that the way I did that. Or do you know what I'm saying? Like learning our lessons from those experiences is so awesome and makes it so worth it. I'm gonna read some comments here. Lisa said, whether it be sexual abuse, domestic abuse, anything, right? Determination factor. I'll show the world. That's how that's definitely how I feel.
You know what I wanted to also on the abuse thing, because it doesn't necessarily even have to be kind of, we talked about the small t, the big T, small t trauma. I know it's really warm. That trauma, I've even heard things like sibling trauma, and I'm not, no jab at my brother. And I really genuinely don't feel like I had trauma from him. He is a very typical brother who likes to like
give you noogies.
Oh yeah. And he definitely loves to pick and tease and all that kind of stuff. But, I've heard siblings that are, very like vicious with each other. And I'm like, that's a thing too.
Oh yeah. And sometimes our parents inadvertently create that, because like in my family, it's very clear that my brother is my mother's favorite. But to him, my sister is my mother's favorite. So again, it's all about, you know what I mean?
Perception.
Like the perception that we have. And again, what are you making that mean? Maybe they just have more similar personalities, so it's easier for you know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of the way that I've been able to work around that. But like you said, it can create, especially at a young age, when you don't know how to understand those kind of things and you don't know how to process those kinds of things. We gotta get ready to.
We do.
But
whew.
Thank
really
you
guys. Thank you so much. And we'll continue this conversation. I don't know that we want to necessarily do it on the drive because of the fact that it's it is heavy and it kind of takes away from the whole shenanigans of it. So I think we'll find a way though to continue these conversations, and please feel free to send us messages, to reach out to us.
And check out the Reflections program. Like we said, there are 6 slots, and we cannot wait for you guys to see this. We really want everyone who can be a part of this to be a part of it, because it's going to be really cool. So, thank you. Thank you. We needed this. If you needed this, then we needed it just as much. So thank you very much. We love you guys, and we will be back next week. We won't take up this much of your time. We promise.
Yep.
We'll try not to. No, I'm just kidding. We won't. All right. Love you guys.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.